Okay.
All right. Hello, guys. Thank you for watching Unidentified Podcast. The guy and the Ned, thank you for being here, man. Thank you for meeting with
Yeah,
me
yeah.
here. Um,
Thank you for being here as well, Lito.
thank you. As always, thank you for watching. Please leave comments, suggestions. Please hit like. Uh, just be respectful with whatever you say. And if you would like to contact us, feel free to do so. And yeah, reach out, man. Today we're gonna be talking about well, I'll tell you in a second, okay? But throughout life we all go through things, one thing or another, right? Sometimes are very, very strong situations we see ourselves in. Um Sometimes it may seem like it's not that really serious, but only each individual knows how much it impacts or how much it matters to them, right? That's how I feel, at least. Um, so today we're gonna be talking about trauma, traumatic experiences. To be more specific, is generational trauma, and this is gonna be Nagayan is gonna be in the spotlight. He's gonna speak to us from his perspective, of course. And yeah, Nagayan, what you got? What's up?
Hey guys, yeah. Thank you for the introduction, Lito. Very extensive, but very keen. Yeah, I would like to start off with what first? Just to let you guys know, I'm no professional on this subject. I'm just giving my opinion and my perspective on what I've lived through and what I can share now from my own knowledge and perspective. So,
Yeah,
hope
all of
this
these talks are based on personal experience and personal perspectives on things, different things. So that's fine. Go for it.
Yes. Now, first of all, yeah, like you said, everybody goes through stuff, and we all, some of us live through big traumas, small traumas, of what you can call them, things that happen in our lives that we that tend to uh, grasp onto us, or to that impact us in such a certain way. Maybe an accident, or maybe you got bullied. I got bullied back in the day, so I know that can have a big impact on social behavior in later life. Um, what can I
Wait,
tell?
wait,
Yeah,
Ryan. Uh,
yeah.
um, just let's remember that we are speaking to people who may not know what trauma is in general. So, any definition you would like to give, or
Who
any?
doesn't know what drama is? Come on, man. What in the world?
It
Drama.
could be a 12-year
I
old
mean, who
kid.
doesn't know what? Yeah, a 12-year-old kid shouldn't be watching it.
Why not?
Okay,
Our content is for all.
let's let me give us a definition. What I've got
Mhm.
is trauma is exposure to an experience, series of experiences, cause physical, emotional, psychological, or spiritual harm. And to put it more into context, what we're going to talk about today is generational trauma. And in this sense, it is the idea that trauma can be transferred from one generation to another. So, if you talk about the parents or grandparents, our grandparents also carried trauma or also experienced stuff even more impactful than we. Like, we got corona on our resume, but our grandparents might have survived the war, or gone through warfare, um, gone through slavery as well, or other stuff that, yeah, are also impactful on a person's mind and mentality and development in the sense of security. So, yeah, if I look at my past and my grandparents, I can see there's a lot of still how do you call it? Like this, the need to stay low or below the radar in the sense that don't stand out too much because you will, yeah, the one who stands out gets punished for what he does or she does.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ed,
Back, yeah.
What's up?
there's a saying for that. You know what it is? Like the nail that sticks out is the one that gets hammered, something like that.
Yeah, I've heard of it. I don't know
Thank
what
you,
it
Ed.
is. I mean, I don't. I don't. I know what. I know what it is. I know what you're talking about, though.
Okay, cool. Nagain, so there's got to be a reason you wanted to talk about it. There's got to be a reason why you picked this as a topic. Um, so what's up? What's going on?
I think that nowadays we're looking at a period of where we can see a lot of, at least if I'm reflecting a lot inwardly, and to see where I find obstacles in my life and obstacles in how I uh, develop or have developed myself so far, and that there's still a tendency for me to yeah, to not take too much space. And because of that reason, I know that there's a lot of people that I know as well that also have that same tendency. And it can be from generational trauma that we have suffered. It can also be just simply your own experiences as a child or your own way of coping with stuff. But I would like to open up the conversation just to make sure that this is something that we're not overlooking.
Okay. Are you doing this for people to like realize that we all go through trauma and like it's okay? We just gotta like figure things out, or what is it? Or you just want to speak off uh, on what you have within? A mixture of both.
I think a mixture of both, as you say it. It's for me, it's my personal experiences, and knowing that right now, I'm going through therapy. Um, I went to a group therapy just to develop my own sense of self and find some more security in what I do, what I portray, and how that I have something to give to the world. And I think a lot of people forget or overlook that sense because they think they don't have anything to offer. And this is also the podcast in itself stands for exactly that, in the sense that we're here, we all have our own stuff to carry, but nonetheless, or actually because of that stuff, we have something to offer to the world. But if you're not capable of even recognizing that you have or either issues or things that make you stronger or strong, that have made that you've gone through, that you've overcome, then you also forget to actually provide something to the world that you might have in you and share it, share that gift, share that pain, share that feeling, emotions, and ideas, something like that.
So I have a question. Do you feel like generational trauma is affecting you, like currently, like you per se, like?
I would want to say no, but I know it does, and I'm not yet very aware of how it does. And I think that's my path or road by which I'm on right now. That I don't want to give too much credit to past, as to put it like that.
Mm-hmm.
But indeed, the past has shaped me who I am today, and has provided me with this
Okay.
perspective.
Hmm. Okay. Ed,
So,
any trauma you think you have at all?
well, he said generational trauma. So if you say
No,
generational trauma,
I
well, I'm
just,
talking
I
about
just
the
want.
actual, like, the actual subject, right?
No. You personally, do you feel like you have any trauma, like at all?
No, no,
No,
no.
you never been through a traumatic experience.
Not really, man. Nothing.
How about any
No,
trauma that's been passed down? I think you've
I haven't
been
been in any
through something.
shootouts or anything. No. Haven't been in a war zone or nothing like that.
Well, as I said before, I mean, nobody gets to decide how something impacts you or how important something is to you. So
I,
it could
I
be
I
something small. I
disagree
don't
with
care what
that. I mean, if something's not a big deal, it's not a big deal. You know?
but it's not a big deal to you.
No. It's things that really are
Yeah.
not a big deal, and some people try and blow small things out of proportion.
That is also true, right?
Yeah,
But what I'm saying is like, okay, so
it's not all
Yeah,
opinion. Like
I
there
think
are
that
things that really are insignificant.
yes, in the greater picture, it does, and it is, but that doesn't mean that you can't have a certain feeling or reaction towards it.
But I
And
haven't been
then,
through anything,
as
nothing serious. No,
okay, cool. Are you drinking some wine? Is that wine, Ed?
no, it's tea.
Oh,
do you think, Ed, by the way, do you think that you have, or your parents or your grandparents have gone through some stuff that was very impactful for their lives?
I talked to some of them, about some of them talk about that civil rights stuff and all that. We're here in America, man. I mean, we're pretty much there's not too much going on here, man. I'm sorry. I mean
So,
that's
I,
one of the things about being American. You a lot of stuff that goes on. It's just like you know. You talk to those people over there in Ukraine or somewhere. Ask them about their trauma. Okay, that's
yeah,
real
but
trauma.
that's
To me, it's like a
putting
lot of
things in
stuff. I just
perspective and
don't. I just don't make a big deal of it. You know what I mean?
yeah.
by
Like,
No,
comparing your own situation to other people that might
I
have it
mean, like
worse
you
or
say, like in school you were bullied. In school,
yeah.
like I guess I could kind of say that happened, but I also was fighting a lot. So it was like, like who's gonna bully me if I'm actually fighting? You know what I mean? It's not gonna happen.
You know what's crazy? I didn't get bullied in school.
You were the bully. No, just kidding.
Well, I was a bully for a little bit, and then I felt bad, and I toned it down. Um, but I was kind of looking for my place. But I actually got bullied by two of my friends, actually, two of my closest friends that lived around my house. And that was pretty much it. I really didn't care because in my mind, I'm like, I can take them if I wanted to. So that didn't really bother me too much. Like, like letting somebody think they have the upper hand, so
Mm.
makes them feel good about themselves. I don't know.
Yeah, but
Um,
it for me it was in that sense as well. I mean, I was bullied, but later I started bullying when I was older. Other kids from the same school I was on. So in that sense, I didn't overcome my trauma. I used it against yeah the negative sense. Bully others.
but
Had a chance.
for a second, um, let's get back to the point, okay? So, I think it is my fault that we get off track a lot because I ended up asking Ed something, but I just wanted him to participate and start getting engaged. So I just want to click something in him and get him going. But okay, generational trauma is very different from any other trauma, and well, it's similar but different, of course. Um, in the sense that trauma is usually personal to you. Physical trauma, spiritual trauma is very personal to you. But generational trauma is something that gets passed on, something that happened and it gets passed on to you. Okay. Um, let's say just that war, you know, Holocaust, something like that, right? You pass that on to your kids, and your kids pass it on to your grandkids, and so on and so forth, right? Um, why bring that particular type of trauma to light?
What do you mean? Like, how is it passed on? Is my question.
Okay, so let's say for you, Ed,
Yeah,
not to be, you know, but you are black, right?
yeah,
And racism, man.
yeah. Like that's what I said.
Slavery.
Like, how is that passed on? Is it like some spirit or something that I just inherited,
No,
or
it's
is it like
passed on in the
stories?
sense. No, no, that's a great question, actually, Ed. Let me be more specific. What I mean by that is that it gets passed on as in, um, let's say your grandfather was a slave, for example.
Okay.
Okay, I don't want to go too far back because it just complicates things. My example a little more. So let's say your grandfather, and your grandfather is taught or limited to think in a certain way. So when he raises a kid, he's gonna have so many limitations as in how he, should think and how he should act and how he should do this and do that. And that is how you pass it on. And then your father, yeah, every generation is gonna be a little lighter than the other one, a little less rough or a little, as we can see today, we are living in a generation of people who are overly sensitive, in my opinion, of course. But it wasn't always like that. Men used to be super rough, very, macho, or what we were described as just simply manly. But that's no longer it. Okay, more and more we see how sensitive we are and how much we are now willing to speak of how we feel and how this affects us and this and that. Meaning that's not something that was taught. My father is not somebody who tells you how he feels because he said, well, he did at times, but for the most time he was like very like strict, very scary in my opinion. Okay, and I see me like knowingly like avoiding to treat my kids this way, or avoiding to act in or make the same choices or reactions as my dad once did. And I try not to make those mistakes, and somehow I think that's still trauma. I'm making sure I don't make my kids go through what I went through. You know what I mean? But I have this question of, and I'll let you guys talk. Also, like, is this a necessity? Like, did we go this through all these this trauma for a reason? I mean, rough times bring up rough people, meaning stronger human beings, more resourceful as well. We are very comfortable right now, and that limits a lot of people. Like here in America, when I'm living here, like I do things that amaze others, like, oh, how you make this out of nothing, like, you know what I mean? But I'm like, this is normal because I didn't have, let's say, electric, or I didn't have water, or I didn't have this or that. But people over here have been comfortable for so long that if electricity goes, everybody freaks out. You've seen this happen, right?
Yeah, it can happen. I mean, what are you gonna do?
So in different ways, generations through generations, we go through trauma, and some people just decide to avoid it or hide it, or but that's some type of trauma. Like that's a way of dealing with trauma. All these things are because of traumatic experiences, in my opinion, of course. Again, I'm not a specialist, it's just an observation. Do you understand what I'm trying to say with all these things? Like I gave you like a whole bunch of examples in different ways.
Yeah, I'm trying to as well find a way to Indeed, like you said, make Ed speak up about his own experiences, because
Yeah.
yes, you can put it in perspective as in, okay, there's a war going on or the light went out, but people in Africa don't have that's some racist shit, but people in the Dominican Republic don't have light,
Hmm. Don't have water. Don't have light.
don't have
Uh,
water, don't have
some people
stuff
don't
like
even
that.
have toilets. Like their bathrooms are outside of their houses.
But in that way, you're putting your own perspective and your own feeling actually about what's going on. You're dimming it, or you're rationalizing it. And I don't. Why do you do that? That's my question actually. Why do
No,
you
Why do we do what
rationalize and
exactly?
compare everything with uh, what's
well,
going on in extreme? Yeah, you can tell.
well, why do I do it?
Yeah,
Oh, like why do I like rationalize stuff like that?
yeah.
I mean, that's what you're supposed to do. That's what I thought. I mean, like, I mean that's my only experience. I just, I'm going to compare myself, to everybody else, and it's like, okay, I kind of see what other people went through, and my experience doesn't really compare, and it's not really that big a deal. I mean, as far as having trauma, it's like I'm over here in America. You know what I mean? Like I'm good. Nothing was really that traumatic. You know,
Hmm. Okay.
a lot of stuff. I just let it go, man. I just let it go. It's not that big a deal.
Do you forget or do you just
Kind of, kind of probably.
kind of?
I think you do have some trauma, but it's in my opinion
I'm
it's not
not.
my business
I'm
to
not an
bring out
emotional
to.
guy like you, like you guys, man. I'm not. I just
No,
see
I
it.
know, but like there's things
I
that we.
recognize myself in what you do actually. I used to do this often. I used to do this a lot. I used to do this all the time. Like when somebody said something about, yeah, how do you feel, guy? And or I would say, yeah, no, I feel okay. Well, are you hungry? No, kids in Africa are starving, so no, I'm not hungry. And if you put it in comparison, yeah, you can always find a bigger or better or worse situation,
But
which
there's a
is
there's a
gonna.
time for that. There's a time for that, right? I mean, then there's the wrong time for that. There's a fellow we work with. I might as well say it. They probably won't see it. I'm gonna just call him Jonathan, right? Um, and I say, hey man, he's always talking about working out, and I'm like, dude, you don't really work out. And I say, man, you're really kind of overweight there. Look like you're almost like 300 something pounds. And he says, hey, so what? There's people who are 500 pounds. you know so sometimes it doesn't it doesn't
It's
it
a
doesn't
bad.
work. You're still messed up. You still 300 pounds is a problem. You can't look at the guy who's 500 pounds and say, hey, I'm doing all right.
That is
But that's
true.
that's a good one.
No, that is true. You do have a good point. I get it, but I think, like I said, everybody's case, I think it has some value.
But I think when you're
Uh,
talking about traumatic experience like that, I think it is better to say, hey, there's people who are in a war zone. Like, what do I really have to complain about? There's people who I can, after this podcast, I can go suit up and go run around the park. There's some people who cannot get out of bed right now. Like I
no,
have,
and that's
you know what I
fine,
mean?
but I do understand your point, but I just disagree on one point. Okay, it's great that you think that way, and I think it's very smart to do so as well. Um, it's logical. Okay, but I don't want to teach people that because somebody has it worse than you, you shouldn't worry about what you got in your hands. Um,
What I'm saying is, I'm not
of
saying
course,
don't worry. I'm saying, like, don't feel sorry for yourself. Don't be all
yeah,
depressed.
yeah.
Yeah.
And that is great. Don't feel sorry for yourself. Pick yourself up, and you can do it. Move forward. Always, it's good to always think that somebody has it worse than you. I do that very often. Um, and you know what? I also think about my childhood. Like my childhood was way more rough. I was thinking about that today. Like when I was a kid, I had it way more rough than now, and I never complained when I was a kid, never. And now I complain about like silly stuff,
Yeah. Yeah.
but I got comfortable. Like, you know what I mean? Like I got comfortable to having things a certain way, man. If the hot water is not hot enough, I complain about that. I'm like, yo, bro, like I used to shower with, I used to go like mad far just to get water to shower. And then the water was freaking cold. You
Yeah.
understand?
And this
I,
this is exactly what's the point, because when people get put in extreme situations, people will get used to that extreme conditions, or will thrive in those conditions. Will not definitely thrive, but some will thrive, some will survive, and depending on your own perspective and what you do exactly at, it's quite good to stay positive and keep it shifting, keep it going, keep it moving. Because yeah, you don't want to get stuck, you don't want to get depressed about your situation, you don't want to get uh, in a certain state where you actually give the power you have to change away. So in that sense, you're doing a great job. At the same sense, there is feeling or something inside of you, a spark, an ignition, and something that has to do with why, the motivation behind the why. What's driving you to stand up each day and get, yeah, get through your day. I mean, yeah. Other than, I lost the point actually, but it runs deeper than your logic. That's what I'm trying to capture. What if it? What if you don't have your logic compute? What would remain? What would you be, or how would your how would you?
It's so you take my logic processor out of my brain. I don't
Yeah,
know. I don't know the guy, and I'd be a different person.
okay, all logical things cease to exist. Let's say, for example, yeah, because it's to him, it's not gonna make too much sense to take the logic out of his brain. But let's say we discover we in a matrix or something like that.
Okay.
All logic code things are not what we thought it was, and we come out of the matrix. How you deal with things from there on,
What do you
it
mean
makes no
logical
sense.
things don't make any sense?
So let's say, for example, you've been
exactly.
sleeping this whole time. You've been sleeping this whole time,
Okay.
and you thought you was living, but in fact you were sleeping.
Okay.
Is that logical? Like how you adjust to
Yeah,
that?
it is. Like logic continues. There's always logic. It just continues. Now you got to go and live the real world now. Like you just. I
Yeah,
guess your
no,
whole life,
know.
your whole life was a lie, and you realize that it was the okay. Well, now we got to live in the real world.
Bro, you got to go through a whole process on that. But we going too far in this, okay?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Let let me step back again. Nagayan, you said you've been going to group therapy, right?
yes.
Could you share for what, like for what particular reason made you decide, okay, maybe I have to do this because I'm going through this? And how has it helped you, or what are like some techniques that you have learned on to deal with these issues?
Yeah, it started actually with me finding myself in a little bit of a rut, to put it like that. I was continually going through the same motions and finding myself in the same situations. So yeah, I was stuck. You can put it like that. And I didn't have the mental capacity to overcome my own uh, uh, insecurities, or overcome my own stuckness, overcome my own feeling like, um, yeah, my part to the world didn't matter. My addition, my me being here, did not have a contribution to the whole. So in that sense, I just made myself small and small and smaller and smaller, and until I just didn't have anywhere to go, anywhere to be with, or didn't have any intrinsic motivation as to being or creating moments of joy, or finding moments of joy. And yeah, it was at that point actually also my girlfriend at that time, although it is still a lady. She to light like, I see that you're stuck. I see that you're constantly hitting the same point. You're not growing. Your growth has stopped. I think it's to get some help. And of course, I was stubborn as hell. And like, no, I don't need help. I'm fine. I'm doing okay. But the ball started rolling, and I started thinking about what she was actually saying and what I was actually going through. And indeed, it just reached out, and I said that something has to change, because either I'm not gonna grow, I'm gonna stay in this position, or I can choose to reach out for help, either professionally or
What
therapist.
is growing?
Yeah,
What is growing? Seriously, I mean, I'm like really like asking like,
that's a good question. I mean, for me, growth is where you are capable of approaching a situation different than you would do yesterday or the day before, or not per se different, but you know that there's multiple ways to overcome a situation. Let's put it like that. But if you don't grow, you come to a situation, you only see a certain outcome, because you're not capable of being able to see it from multidisciplinary or a multiple ways out. And in that sense, I was stuck. So for me, the growth meant expanding my capacity to see a certain situation, to be able to approach it either differently or the same, depending on what was suitable for me or what I wanted. So that's for me the growth.
you wouldn't consider like, let's say, if you know your career or whatever your business is, let's say that started taking off and you started making more money, and would you consider that to be growth? Like you're advancing and making more money
I
and
would
just.
go growth.
But
But
if you say it's economical, that affects other things. He says like dealing with different situations, right? And he needs to know how to deal with those situations. So if you grow economically, you can just, hey, you start throwing money at things, or you can just like let things slide and you can just skate through easier. So wouldn't that be growth?
but that doesn't address the
Problem.
no, it addressed many problems in many ways, right? But it doesn't address the issue that you may have internally or spiritually.
Yeah.
It
I'm
doesn't
gonna give
solve.
my example, or my situation is was or still is, in the sense that I would have an idea, make it grow until a certain point where it got profitable, and I could make money of it, and then I would sabotage myself as to not wanting to put in work, or not wanting to earn as much, or not wanting to profit from it, while the only thing I needed to do was keep doing what I was doing, because it was already profitable. In that sense, I was finding myself, and then I would start a whole other thing, a whole other topic, a whole other business. I would bring it to the same point until it becomes profitable, and I would put some effort in, but I would feel so stuck, in the sense that I wouldn't. Every time I would sell a motorbike, I would feel like, okay, I didn't do enough. I had to do more. I had to do more work on it. I had to improve it a little bit more, because the price I got for it, and it was, why is that what I paid it for it, or and did for it? But I didn't want to claim that. I didn't want to have that. I didn't want to carry that. That felt for me like it was a burden. While for me, putting in the effort, finding the bike, fixing it, putting it back on the market, selling it for the price that the market gave for it, that was already the work I was compensated for, but I didn't want to compensate myself in that way.
Okay. I done that actually. I understand. Um, and you learned what? Like the going to this group therapy
And that's why I say if you
that
just made more money and you advanced, like you wouldn't have these problems. It'd just be like, hey, that's good. You would have advanced by just making more money.
But that's how do you make more money if you're finding yourself in the glass ceilings where you cannot, which you cannot overcome.
I'm just saying, like hypothetical situation. You know, you say like growing and all this. Like I don't know. It's just that's what I was trying
Everybody
to get.
has a glass ceiling. Everybody has a glass ceiling that stops you. Even you.
Yeah.
I mean, how many miles do you run?
Usually I do about like the most I do is like 5 or something like that.
Why don't you do more?
I don't feel like being out there, and I will admit like because I run with Vibrams on it. After a while, like my legs will actually start to hurt.
Yeah, but it's physical. That's a mental
Yeah.
mental blockage. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I could. Like if I had to like make myself go further, like yeah, I would. And then it's time thing too. It's like I ran enough. I'm good.
Exactly. For yourself, you have like a certain, not per se limit, because physically you could do more,
Yeah.
but mentally or somewhere it says, yeah, you don't have to do more, so let's just keep it at 5 or around 5.
So growing is making more money.
Growing could be running more miles.
Whatever you're doing, just taking it to the next level.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, Ed. So, what would your advice be to somebody in his situation then?
Dude, I have no idea.
What's the best course of action, in your opinion?
I don't sell bikes. I have no idea. I have no idea.
I'm not talking about the bikes.
I mean,
talking
like me, I'm an artist. I kept growing. I'm still like, learning new stuff and
Are you
pushing
selling
through.
your art?
I'm not selling it yet. That's the next step.
Why not?
I said that's the next step because I never felt I was good enough. I wasn't concerned with selling it.
So why would you feel you're not good enough?
But right now, I actually am. I just I just got to do it.
So why are we not working on this?
As I'm talking to you right now, I'm working on art right now.
No, I
Every
working.
time we are on the podcast, you're working on art.
When you're gonna profit on it?
I'm coming up with plans. I'm coming up with ideas. Like it's gonna happen, man. It's gonna happen.
That sounds like me. Like,
Yes, I know you could say that. You could say that.
okay.
So what's the
Now,
advice?
coming back. So like this is also like the money thing is also a thing, and the financial thing. We are used to having a certain amount, and our parents are used to having a certain amount. Our grandparents are used to having less than what we have right now. I mean, they lived in a small house and provided for all the grandchildren and children, and with help of the community, but not with help of a lot of financial, yeah, stuff. I think that could be like also a thing that you could call generational trauma, generational, uh, just not knowing how to deal with money.
Okay, I feel you. I feel you. Okay. Because sometimes, like, when you say stuff and it's, like, so detached from reality, I'm just like, I don't know. Like, is he going, like, on some mystical stuff here? But no, I got you.
Als het laat. Helpen? Sorry about that.
I think I understand your point, Ed. You meaning like every time we say something, we go beyond like logic. We just try to make it into something spiritual or mystical or.
Yeah, it's
So-
sometimes hard to grasp.
So what if that is true? Like, is that not valid?
I mean, you keep saying go beyond logic, but what is logic? Logic is if this, therefore that. You know what I mean? Like making connections and connecting the dots. And if you have these events, then, you know, to say that the sun will come up tomorrow because it came up, you know, for the past, you know, however many billions of years, that's logic. Like everything is logic.
Well, yeah, it is, but logic keeps being redefined
No,
as we
no,
speak.
no, no. Don't listen to that. Don't let anybody redefine anything.
Okay.
Yeah, you can't play
So,
around with language like that.
okay. So I'll tell you this.
But I get what you're saying as
In
far
the
as like money and stuff like that. And so like generationally, like they won't teach their kids anything about it, and then it'll just keep going on and on and on. I got you. And then rich
no,
people would tell their kids about how to use money, and then they'll always stay.
Use money. Yeah.
Yeah,
Ed, but I just don't want to go too far into this. But like, how about like how logical was it like 30 years ago to go like travel in time?
what are you talking about?
Whoa.
What you talking about, man?
Huh?
What you talking about? Time travel.
Time
On
travel.
knowledge, I think you mean something with knowledge.
No, no,
The
no, no.
knowledge that there's
Based
today.
on the knowledge we had, it wasn't logical to think that it was a possibility of like at all to
I don't
drive
think the
one.
word you want to use is logical. Maybe rational. You know, or
Oh,
yeah,
rational,
yeah.
maybe. I do have my
Realistic.
language barriers. No, no, not realistic, but
Yeah,
like
realistic would be another one. Probable. I
no,
don't know.
not really realistic. Like I know what you mean, but no, um, no, I think you might be right. I'm using the wrong word, but you know what I'm trying to say,
Yeah,
like
yeah. I got you. I got you. I know what you're saying.
the spaceship type of thing, the traveling at speed of light,
No, they had all this.
traveling in
30 years
time.
ago is not that long ago, Angel.
Well, I'm 32, so I'm aware of this. But so no, I'm just saying to just not exaggerate too much. You know what I mean? We have records of
Dude, the
30
crazy
years.
thing about that is like we haven't had too many technological advancements. Like it's just like it kind of like stalemated.
Not in the last 30 years, but the last 100 years, everything is different than what it was 100 years ago. So
100 years ago would have been like what 1920s, 1922. Okay, wasn't that different? I mean, you had some stuff.
like
The only thing we really did was what computers. That's it, man. Computers.
computers, bro.
Radio
Like that's it.
and communication improved a lot. Um,
Computers, internet. That's it.
1922, I remember. I remember. Wow, I was there. But when they were still driving around in like them old chariots, or was that before that? Oh, that's before that.
Dude, they had electric cars back then and everything, man. You see like the old pictures of them
Yeah.
going to the charging stations, charging up.
Yeah, that's true.
You do have a point. I used the wrong word, okay? But what I'm saying is like information is changing. The way we use it, the way we receive it as well. But I just don't want to give off topic too much, so I'm just gonna ignore that little bit right there, okay?
Okay, all right.
But you have anything to say for those who like spiritually, like any spiritually like issues or blockage or anything like that? And
See, this is
But
where
that's
you lose me. You start talking about spirits, and this man just
okay.
says straight up about money, which is real. Like that's a real thing. If your
Yeah.
parents are
Okay, but
poor,
okay, let's take it maybe a little bit in between those two. We talked about money.
yeah,
Let's talk about, let's say, the tendency to be assertive. People can be assertive or sub. How do you call it? This. The fucking.
what dominant,
The that dominant or assertive
what
or
aggressive,
but the antonym for it.
what, docile, subservient.
Docile. Subservient, exactly. That's the word I was looking for. And that's something that we could relate back to actually this slavery time, where we, as a slave, you needed to be submerged, sub, what's the word?
Subservient.
Subservient, in order to be, or obedient towards your master,
Yeah.
in order to be a good slave. And that we had to, yeah, tone down the assertiveness we had as people, as depending on what kind of slave we were as well. But an assertive slave would be a slave that will be a problem, to put it like that.
Yeah.
So in that sense, you can say, if that was the case for a couple of 100 years, this can still seep down to how we act today, or would you not agree?
So you're
Or-
telling me that these black folks are going to be subservient and docile and walking with their heads down now. This is what you're telling me.
Some were rebel and some were more assertive than others.
I don't
Most
know,
of them
I don't
needed
know.
to. You don't believe that?
No, I don't believe that. I believe, honestly, from what happened is they went off, right, and they built their own communities. They built their own communities where it was just them, and they built it up. You know, they built up their own businesses and all that, and they built up their own wealth, and it's like, and they walked out and they were like on the same level as any white folks. That's how it was back in the day. And then something happened.
Then something happened.
Yeah, something happened.
What do you mean with something happened? That seems like very vague.
Well, black folks ain't really known for that anymore now, are they? Not in general. But back in the day, it wasn't like that.
There were communities thriving, and
Yeah, there were communities
everybody
thriving.
was everybody was assertive, and everybody was his own boss, and had his own.
Yeah, they go out. They just went out and did their thing. You know, this is what it is.
Okay. And that's how.
I mean, a lot of the animosity was like because the black folks back then were like rising up and doing their thing, man.
Okay. But you know that slavery already existed before, yeah, black folks were caught up in it.
Yeah, it always is.
Yeah.
I just think when most people say slavery, they're always just hung up on that, you know, like it's just black people.
Yeah. I was just giving an example as in to say that a certain mindset or a certain can also be affected and sit down through generations. Like money. If you don't have money, you don't know how to handle it. You probably pass on the same lesson to your kids. Okay, there's money. You have to get it. You have to work for it. And then you can own it and pay the bills with it, or put it like that. But what if the same lesson was brought down to us from our forefathers? Don't stick your head out too much. Don't be too assertive or dominant, or the words, whatever they are called. Because if you are, you might get punished for it. And nowadays, in a sense, it still is, because you have the authority, and the authority is there to keep the peace, and stop from everything going chaotic and chaos. So, but at the same time, it's also for the people that tend to stay out their head too much, or to break the law too much, to actually subdue them, or just tone it down. Okay, this is the line. Don't be too loud, making too much noise. In this way, this is the system that we're living in today. But think that's also the system that we've been living in for already ages.
Yeah, I mean, I see what you're saying. I mean, as far as generational trauma, and that same authority can, they're in charge of the schools, and they teach kids from generation to generation, and go back to the money thing. They teach them, like Tate said, they teach you about photosynthesis or some Pythagorean theorem, but they don't teach you about money, and that's intentional. So it's beyond just family. It's a whole class of people that are supposed to stay where they're at and not move up the ladder. And it's done intentionally.
Yeah.
So there you
Everybody has the capability. Yeah.
Everybody's
Everybody has the
got it.
capability to actually become more assertive, more whatever you're lacking or whatever you think you lack. You have the quality in yourself to be able to overcome your obstacles. And if you don't do it for yourself, do it for your kids.
So what you got for us, Andrew? You over there looking up stuff? You Googling stuff? What's going on here?
I was actually looking up some stuff, but it's fine. I actually think it's good that you guys have your own personal.
He was feeling left out.
No, not at all. I actually want you guys to actually interact and speak up more. I don't know. I don't like where I went with the time that was given to me. I went way off topic, and I was.
I
No,
think
you
I did
always
as well.
do that. We're used to it. Ain't no big deal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, but I didn't like it. It's fine. Ed.
So. Yeah.
I don't know. I think it's fine.
Yeah, it's good, man. It's good.
I think it's good as well.
Yeah, don't worry about it. What you want to call this one? We've exhausted this topic. We've been on for
I don't think we closed it.
52 minutes. Like, come on, man.
It's okay. Then kill it.
I mean, you guys ain't even got nothing.